Okay? Yeah, that's
Hello and welcome to your second dose of Dude's Comic Book Goodness. I'm Jason and this is my weekly video where I review the books that I picked up this week. I reviewed the latest episode of Arrow that we've had here in the UK, and also share with you some of the good stuff in comics that I've enjoyed this week, whether it's a bit of news or a TV show or something that I'm looking forward to. So yeah, first up is, as always, we're going to do the reviews. 6 books to review this week. 4 of which are from Image and 2 are from Marvel Comics. So, without further ado, let's get to those reviews. So, first up in my reviews this week, we have 10 Grand, issue number 5. This came out 2 weeks ago. It's been my favourite book, one of my favourite books this year, really. And the reason I haven't reviewed it till now is I didn't initially get it. I was thinking I was going to get this in trade instead, to save a bit of money, because it seemed to have a problem coming out, so I thought, I'll get it in trade, read it collected. But then the day before I only knew it was coming out the day before, so money wise it was a bit tight. But then sort of since the 2 weeks it's come out, I've heard the stories about why the book was delayed. So I thought, you know what, they've lost an artist, so it's understandable there'd be a delay. So I've kind of come back to getting a book. With the books that I've dropped, I had enough to pick it up, so I picked it up because it is truly one of my favourites this year and I really want to support it. This issue, first things first, the story, it remains as great as ever. I really like the character of Joe Fitzgerald, and he is a really interesting character. This issue, as he tries to save Laura from his girlfriend from hell, he has to go through purgatory, and I really, again, the imagination here and all the things that we see in purgatory are really cool. We kind of get a glimpse of the future, which kind of reminded me of Babylon 5, a TV show Joe Straczynski, the writer of this book, wrote, and he did use in the first season of that. We had a kind of a glimpse of the future, but then when we came to seeing that point later on, it totally had a different connotation to it. So I'm wondering if this is going to be, when we get to the time where this happens, it's going to have a different perspective on it. That's going to be interesting, but certainly it raised a lot of questions for Joe. The trip across the river of Purgatory was really awesome as well, and the interaction he has with the character he meets there. And just as always, the story remains really strong. The art is different. Ben Temple-Smith had a style that was very atmospheric, that really added to the book and was as much as part of why I love the book as the writing. It doesn't help that once you open the book, that not only does it lack that same atmosphere, which would have been very difficult for another artist to reproduce, but the main character looks totally different. You look at the flashback bits at the beginning of our story so far, but the way Joe looks there and the way he looks in this book, it took a while for me to, my brain was just having this disconnect that's the character, because he looks so different. So I think that didn't get the book off to a good start. But once I got into the book, I quite like the art. I think this new artist come on board, C.P. Smith, does a really good job. I really liked his art. There were some really nice bits. The bit from the future, I thought that was really nicely drawn, as well as the bit when he's crossing the river Purgatory. I thought they were both awesomely drawn, and like Straczynski himself says in the book, it works a bit because we're in a different phase now. Where it will be difficult is when we return to the real world, but certainly with us being in a different phase now, it kind of can kind of translate that. Though, I still think the main character should have looked more like he's always looked. But all in all, this still remains a really good book. Look forward to seeing, while it does lack some of the atmosphere it had before because of the art, I did enjoy the art, and it'd be interesting to see how the art sticks up in future issues. Still loving the book, still hooked on this one for the long haul, and I give 10 Grand, issue number 5, 4 stars. So next up, a brand new book that came out this week, A Voice in the Dark. It is written and illustrated by, if I can get the name right, Laramie Taylor. I hope I pronounced that surname properly. Laramie, is it? I hope it is. This story base follows a character called Zoe Aaron, and she has killed, and it's like 72 days later after she's killed for the first time, and she's going off to college, and she has these dark thoughts. She's very socially awkward, but she finds that when she does her radio show and she's in that booth, it gives her the confidence to really connect with people. So she feels that she's going to do this phone-in show where people can anonymously talk about their dark desires or any problems they've got, and she and this is a place for her to let her dark side out, so to speak, so that she doesn't have to kill again, because she doesn't want to kill again. I really enjoyed the book. Primarily, I found a real connection with the central character, Zoe. I don't think about killing people, not at all, but I am very socially awkward. I even thought this internet thing would make it easier, but it doesn't. I still don't know what to say to people. So much of my life, it seems like I am a different frequency to everyone else, because I just feel so awkward and I just don't know what to say half the time, or how to connect with people and interact. So I really, really connected with the central character, who's that same kind of issue. And, so that really got me into the story from the start. We meet the ensemble cast, which are all very interesting. But it's really when she does a radio show where I felt the book really takes off. As we really see where this book may be heading, and some really interesting stuff kind of develops. And by the end of the book, I was absolutely hooked. I really loved the book. If I was still doing my pick of the week, this would be my pick of the week, because I just enjoyed it. And I know a large part of my enjoyment was because I connect with the central character so much that maybe if you don't, that I don't know if you'd enjoy it as much. But I just really love the story, the depths there, the characters all seem interested. Initially they do seem to be archetypes of different characters, but you get the sense that there's more going on with them than just what you'd expect. But yeah, I really like the book. I'm really interested in where it's going. It seems to be more psychologically based, rather than action. But there is a bit of action in here as well. But I really like the one. The writer is the artist as well, and it's all in black and white. But I really enjoyed the book. Definitely on the book for the long haul. It was a lot of fun, and it gave a voice in the dark. I give 5 stars. So next up we have Fantastic Four, issue number 14. This issue, everything's starting to come together now. We get to the point where we started off in Fantastic Four issue 1, and we get to that point, and it does feel now like everything's coming together. We see the birth of Doom, the Annihilating Conqueror. We see how this version of Johnny Storm ends up in FF, and why he thinks that they're all dead. So much happens in this book that really kind of connects to stuff that's happening in FF, and really starts making the whole story a lot more, and we feel like we're moving forward really fast now. So yeah, I really enjoyed this issue. The art I wasn't that impressed of. I think I kind of recall that Bagley hasn't been on the book for a couple of issues now, but I don't know if this artist was on the last issue, because I did not like the art here at all. But the story does definitely seem to be moving forward, so it seems like we're going to get a pretty good finale to this series before Robertson kicks off his run on the book with a new number 1. Looking forward to seeing when this is going to go. Enjoyed this issue, and I give Fantastic Four issue number 14 4 stars. So next up we have the Superior Spider-Man Annual, issue number 1. This is written by Christos Gage, with art and colours actually by Javier Rodriguez. I was really excited for this book, not just because it was Spider-Man, but I really enjoyed Christos Gage's run on X-Men Legacy. I especially got the end of that run, and I really enjoyed his rogue kind of centric stories. I also really enjoyed Javier Rodriguez's art on Daredevil. He regularly does the colours on that book, but from time to time when Chris Samney takes time off, he'll fill in and do an issue, and I've really enjoyed his art, so I was really pleased to get to see him do somebody else. The story itself is kind of a one and done kind of story, where Blackout kind of finds that Peter Parker is connected to Spider-Man, so to make a name for himself, he's going to try and blackmail Parker into weakening Spider-Man so that he can kill Spider-Man and make this big name for himself by killing this hero. Of course, he doesn't know that Doc Ock is in control of Peter Parker now, and things go a bit differently. And this is a villain, I get the sense, that isn't traditionally a Spider-Man villain, and certainly is not a villain I've come across before. But he fits the story really well, because for what you need to happen at the end of the story, he's the kind of villain that wouldn't stop, that would keep coming. And where Peter Parker would have let the police deal with this and take the guy away, the Superior Spider-Man isn't that kind of caring, sharing kind of dude, and he's going to make an example out of Blackout, which he does. The end is pretty brutal for Blackout, but I really like that kind of what happens at the very end. Was really fun. It's a book that I feel that if you've not been reading Superior Spider-Man, you might be a bit lost with. If you've been, because I think it does tie a lot, or it takes a lot that you've got a lot of understanding. It takes for granted. But the story, I enjoyed it. It was a nice one and done issue, and it was nice to see what been up with Aunt May. So it's always good to see Aunt May. The art I really liked. You could see the colours. I got that same kind of vibe from Daredevil in this issue, that with the colouring, and I enjoyed the art. It was really great to get to see Javier Rodriguez let loose with a different character. All in all, this was a fun kind of one-shot kind of deal. And I give Superior Spider-Man Annual Number 1 5 stars. So next we have Sex Criminals issue number 3. I've really been enjoying this book. It is so funny, so much fun, but then at the end there's a bit of it gets a bit dark at the end, and really puts our main characters in peril. Our two main characters, they're so likeable, and I really have took to both of them now. I think it was Alfred Hitchcock who said that the easiest way to make you care about somebody is to laugh with them. And we've done that so much with these two characters that now I really do care what happens. And when they're put in peril at the end of this issue, I really want to see what happens next. The other thing about this issue was, I was wondering how this book had legs long term. It seemed very much like kind of a mini-series idea of these two people that can freeze time when they have sex. I thought it's very kind of a mini-series. How can you make it have a long-term longevity? This issue really kind of answered that question a bit for me, and it really has me wanting to know what happens next and wanting to know more. I still really love the effect that they do for when they're in the quiet. I like that. And all in all, this is a really fun book. Don't let the title put you off. You can think, oh god, here's another book with sex in the title, and it's not that type of book. The characters are really funny. The story has a real fun tone to it. And if you just want a bit of fun and laughter, this is the book for you. And I've really been enjoying this one. I definitely think I'm on for the long haul now. I give Sex Criminals issue number 3 5 stars. So finally, in my books this week, we have Clone issue number 12. And this book just remains all kinds of excellent. It is Image's best kept secret, because every issue just constantly delivers. You never really have a weak issue with this book. We've kind of gone down the religious route now, as the clones have been outed, and there's this group, the Coalition, that have come together that see the clones as an abomination, so they want to wipe them all out. Things weren't looking good for Luke, as he'd been captured. We get to meet the leader of the Coalition, Laura, and we kind of get a lot of flashbacks, kind of fleshing out her story, which I really liked. Really made her character much more interesting now that we've got all this history to her. The end I found really chilling, and I really fear for what's going to happen to Luke next issue. With this book, nobody's totally safe, and so yeah, I'm worried for what's going to happen to Luke. But yeah, I really like the direction it's taking, going down the more religious route now. The political side of the book seems to be put on pause for a bit, maybe just for this story. And so far, yeah, they've showed all the negative sides of religion, and it will be interesting to see how it pans out, whether it kind of retains a balance or whether it just keeps down this, like, that these people represent the negative kind of connotation of religion. But yeah, I've really enjoying the book. It always leaves me on the edge of my seat. Don't know where it's going to go next. And I give Clone issue number 12 another great big 5 stars. Welcome to my review of the Arrow episode Keep Your Enemies Closer, which is episode 6 of season 2. The show this week kicked off with Diggle getting kidnapped and by Amanda Waller and Argus, and they tell him that Lila Michaels has been captured in Russia. That Lila was looking into Deadshot, who Deadshot had killed Diggle's brother, so Diggle was trying to get Deadshot to kind of avenge his brother's death. And Lila, this person he knew from the army, who is now an Argus agent, she was looking into Deadshot as well. So now because of all this, so Diggle feels responsible. He's going to go to Russia, and Ollie, of course, says, "No, we got your back. We'll come in with you." So they go to Russia to kind of break Lila Michaels out of this unbreakable prison. The whole thing I'm really enjoying about season 2 thus far is the way they're trying to make the world bigger. Okay, they've still got a TV budget, so they can't really go to Russia, but they do their best in kind of trying to make what they've got look like Russia. And I do like how the DC universe is opening up, how we're going out of Starling City now, because last season all we really got to see was Starling City, and we got to see the island. That was it. This series, we seem to be really opening it up. Not only are we introduced to characters like Amanda Waller, or I've heard mention of characters like Ra's al Ghul and Canary, but we're also now getting mention of organisations like Argus and Hive. So it really feels like the Arrow is part of a bigger world. I was really shocked that like Waller knows about Ollie being Arrow and what him and Diggle have been doing. And it kind of begs the question, who else really knows about this? What other organisations know about Ollie, and how is this all going to tie in? It was great seeing Cynthia Adai Robertson play Amanda Waller. She of course played Navia in Spartacus. A big Spartacus fan, so anytime I see a Spartacus and I'm writing something, I'm super stoked. So that was really cool to see her pop up in this. Of course, the guy who played Crixus, her love interest in Spartacus, he is also in Arrow as he plays Slade, who later become Deathstroke. It was also really good to see a story that with Diggle being the main character. Far too often this season he's been kind of in the background, and it was really great to get to see him kind of resolve this kind of issue with his brother's death and with Deadshot, and to see the story kind of move on a bit as well. So I really liked this, and really like all what happened with Diggle's character in this story. The whole thing with Isabel, because Isabel goes with who's the business partner Ollie, she tags along. The whole kind of storyline that goes on with her and Felicity, I kind of felt come out of the blue. I didn't feel that the story had been leading to this, and did kind of come out of nowhere. And the question of who's Holly going to hook up with, and you know, as long as he doesn't get back with Lowell, I don't really mind who he gets with. I just don't like Lowell as a character, and I don't think, you know, I wouldn't want Ollie to go in that direction. Felicity, yeah, would be an interest. I'd like to see them two hook up, because Felicity's good. But the whole thing with Isabel, that came out of nowhere. So yeah, I didn't really feel all that was realistic. I think realistic is the wrong word. It seemed to be too sudden. There didn't seem to be no build to it. That is all. So yeah, or maybe I'm just a bit dim when it comes to matters of the heart, and I didn't really see it. We also get our glimpse, as always, of the past, of what happened when Ollie was on the island. Last episode we saw he'd been captured by Ivo, and he's found out that Sarah's alive. So we get to see his first interactions with Sarah now that he's a prisoner on the boat. We also get to see what happened to Slade and to Shadow. So that, as always, reveals some interesting stuff. This episode does have some pretty big revelations, particularly when we find out the connection between Diggle and Lila Michaels. I thought that was really cool and that was really shocking. But yeah, all in all, I really enjoyed this episode. Again, like I say, I'm just loving how it's making this world bigger. This show every week just seems to be a lot of fun, really good. And I give Arrow, episode 6 of season 2, Keep Your Enemies Closer, 5 stars. So that brings my video to an end. Before I go, a bit of good stuff. The main big bit of good stuff this week as this goes out, I'm a day away from the 50th anniversary of Doctor Who. Massive Doctor Who fan. So excited for the 50th episode, Day of the Doctor. I absolutely know nothing what's going to happen. I've got theories running around my head, but I actually for concrete know nothing. I don't want to know nothing. Stephen Moffat has done a stellar job of keeping everything under wraps. And I'm really looking forward to sitting down tomorrow evening and watching that episode. So yeah, for me, the good stuff this week is Doctor Who. 50th anniversary, you know. I'm just so excited. That all I can say is I'm so excited. That's how excited I am. Words fail me. As always, thank you very much for watching my video. We will be back next week with more reviews and hopefully more good stuff as well. I know the good stuff this episode was a bit light, but this week I haven't really been that much looking at comic book stuff. I've mainly been reading and watching Doctor Who stuff, getting ready for the anniversary, and I've been having stuff on the TV about Doctor Who and that. So it's really been a much more Doctor Who centric week than a comic book centric week. But normal service will be resumed next week. Thank you as always for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please, if you have any opinions on the books that I bought this week, please put them in the comments below. I'm still trying to get my head around this whole new YouTube comments thing. I think I figured out how to do it, but I'm not sure. But hopefully over the weekend, everybody who's left me comments on my last few videos, I will get back to and reply to your comments. All that leaves me to say is that I've been Jason. This has been Dude's Comic Book Goodness. Bye for now.